All right, here we are. Another Wednesday night, another HellaBass live. And tonight, we are back after a week off, week on, week off with Pete from Omnia. What's up, Pete?
What's up, boys? How was everybody doing?
Good. I'm excited to be back. I feel like that week down in Louisiana took the wind out of my sails a little bit driving straight back. Like you had that hangover drive after driving 16, 17 hours.
Yeah.
And now I feel like I'm getting back into it.
Good. How was it down there, though? Was the weather good when you were down there the whole time, or just
it was really, really nice in practice. And then, of course, when the tournament started, the cold front rolled through and it was rainy and cold and windy. And then, temps in the 30s in the morning, which Southern fish love that, the first, cold front.
It seemed a bit like, though, that the tournament was a grind for most people.
The first, cold front. I'm hearing a little delay echo. Where's that coming from? Are you watching this stream on your?
No, I'm not anymore. I just shared it, but I didn't have it on.
Okay. Maybe that's what it was. Hey guys, let us know how the audio and the video is. I think it sounds pretty good, but just let us know in the live chat here, and we'll make sure we won't go too far down this path without any issues. I was a minute late today, Sean, but I knew you'd hang in there for me. I had a busy afternoon that took a lot longer than I thought, and I literally got home like 20 minutes ago. Our guy Doug says we're good. Doug knows his audio, so we'll take his word for it. Sean says superb. He is the connoisseur of all things streaming on the internet. So
good.
All right. Cool. Where do we start? First of all, before we get too far in this,
I think you got to start by explaining how last week was for you.
Yeah, because I got a couple things I got to take care of, just logistics wise. Then we'll get into that for sure. But I want to thank Arsenal Fishing for supporting the channel, supporting the stream. A great partner of mine. I think you guys sell quite a bit of Arsenal stuff at Omnia as well. So they're, I think you guys probably sell the fire out of those braid scissors and wacky kits.
Yep, whatever you can send us goes.
Yeah, so that's cool. Yeah, so I'm back. Like you said, we were off last week. I think most people know why I was off last week. I was fishing the national championship. Next week, I'm actually going to do a super deep dive because I'm having Maddie Wong, the champion, on next Wednesday night. So we'll keep it pretty high level. And then next week, we will literally go like deep dive in the minutia. We'll talk about his practice, his planning, my practice. I mean, we'll do like the full breakdown. So
cool.
We'll touch on it this week. Practice video went out yesterday on the channel, so that was kind of cool. Kind of a vlog style travel vlog practice. I think people are liking it. A lot of comments on it so far. I'm kind of excited because like I do a ton of fishing up here in the upper Midwest, right? And everything kind of looks the same. Like we got same kind of trees, the river looks a little different, but all our lakes kind of look the same. And it's cool to be able to film down there in the bayou, right? With the cypress trees and the swamps and just like, it's just a total different world down there. So I think visually, big change of pace and very, very cool visually to do some videos down there.
Yeah, I bet. Congratulations again on another year of making it to the nationals and doing your job representing for Minnesota. So that was cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, it's obviously a huge honor to make it and a huge accomplishment to go to the national championships, especially back-to-back weeks or back-to-back years. But at the same time, after a good first start 2 years in a row, I definitely feel like there was some missed opportunities left on the table, right? I mean, you go down there with definitely the dreams of making a classic and, having 2 good days, the first 2 days, both years, and then not backing it up stings a little, but
I bet
it also fuels the fire, I mean, like,
I bet, but it's gotta feel good though, that you've been competitive every time you've had to leave the state. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys who take that jump to leave and then they find out the harsh realities of fishing down south, like I have myself. And it's cool that you've been competitive when you've gone. So you got to feel like you're getting one step closer year after year.
Yeah, absolutely. The only bad part is I'm not on the path for next year. I did not make next year's regionals. So it's the soonest I can be back is now 2023 to the nationals. So that pains me a little bit. But next year at Lahamadou for the state qualifier, I'm jacked up to bring the heat and make sure that I make the top 10 there.
Got in for it. Good.
But so yeah, that was last week. I ended up 15th in the tournament. So I mean, if you think about it, there's thousands and thousands or tens of thousands of Bass Nation members
literally
throughout the country, and to finish in the top 15 is a huge accomplishment, and I'm proud of that.
Absolutely, and shout out to Cheetah, my buddy, for jumping in there as a co-angler too.
Yeah, it was a great learning experience for him down there. I think
for sure
he didn't catch him as well as he wanted to either, but I think he had a great experience, and I think he's jacked to get back either as a boater or a co. Sean, you know what? We're going to go into that in great detail next week. So make sure you tune in next week. I mean, Maddie and I will both talk in great detail about how we joined our local clubs and how we got into that. So also you can even go back and re-listen to the stream I did with Cheetah like a month ago, right after lacrosse. And we cover it there too. So what's up, David? Just got back from Bacharach, I think. Well, he was in that group of Minnesota Bass Heads that went down to Mexico like last week or the week before. So that's pretty cool. I think he caught an almost 8-pounder, a new PB. So
beautiful.
We don't really have mag spots up here.
No, we do not.
Maybe really southern Iowa has a few spots, but really you don't get into spots until you get into like the Ozarks.
Missouri. Yeah. And they're not that magnum there, at least not the ones I've caught.
I'll tell you which place doesn't have magnum spots is the Ouachita River.
Ouachita River. I was just gonna ask you that. How were the magnum spots in the Ouachita River?
I caught 3 spots on the final day because I just changed things up, and we'll cover all that next week on why I did that on the final day. 3 spots. It was a 12.5 incher, a 13 incher, and a 14 incher. 2 pounds 7 ounces.
Ooh.
I mean, they were skinny.
Yeah. I've been to about 4 or 5 fisheries in the South that are known for big spots, and I never caught one over 3 pounds. I may have touched 3. There's a few times I wasn't in a boat with but nothing really big ever. And of all places during the Classic last time, it was on Hartwell before this next year's. I was fishing with a buddy, and we went to Kiwi Lake, and everybody told us that don't go there. That lake's not that good, but it was close to where we were staying. Sure. We had a short amount of time to fish, and I caught like a 4.5 pound spotted bass, which is by far and away my biggest spot, like by a long shot. I've had bad luck with big spots in my life. So,
yeah, I would say 2 3/4, maybe 3 pounds is the biggest spot I've caught. Yeah, cool, JP. Going as a co next year at the regionals, St. Lawrence. That's awesome. You'll probably run into TJ Dobbs, who was my day 1 partner at the regionals. He fishes as a co for New York, so I'm sure he is. Pretty sure he's already qualified. So say hi to TJ for me. Thank you, Doug, becoming a member. That's awesome. Appreciate it. Awesome. That's awesome. I am working on something. I have a seminar I did for some high school kids, and I'm working on getting the recording, and that's going to be my first piece of like members only content among some other things for the membership. So that's cool. All right. We got carps and body dumps in Chicago.
Nice.
Yeah. And good point, Mark. I mean, I was literally didn't know I was going to make the regional team until like 2 days beforehand. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. 74 pounds. Wow. All right, cool. So yeah, maybe we'll talk a little bit about the baits in a little bit because I did bring some baits from down south.
Yeah.
But excited to have Pete on for a few reasons. One, and I guess the biggest reason that I'm excited about personally, is Dobyns rods are now at Omnia Fishing.
Yes, they are.
So I'm super jacked to be able to bring that, or like be able to collaborate and further expand that synergy between, you know, what we already do and helping you guys grow and introducing people to what you guys do. And like, one thing that I am super pumped and happy about is I've never sent somebody to Omnia and then regretted or ever got any negative feedback that was like, that was a bad experience. Usually it's the other way. Cause like typically people are quick to tell you what they don't like, but people don't often go out of the way to tell you when they have a good experience or was it okay or whatever. But I've got overwhelmingly feedback, people thanking me for introducing them to Omnia. So congratulations for the guys and the hard work and what you guys do.
Thank you.
Because people, tell me all the time, hey, that's awesome. I'm glad I found out about that. Right. And like I said, for all that, if I figure if one person tells me that, there's 10 more people that are thinking that.
Yeah, I hope so. And thank you very much. And I appreciate not just your support early in when we were just like literally concepting this thing and we had a pretty small assortment. We were trying to grow it. I appreciate, you were one of the people that was constantly reminding us that we were missing. We had a big gap there with Dobbins, and we knew that. We knew it pretty early when we did our first customer survey. I learned, I should say, more than even some of the people we worked with, how big the Dobbins following really was. Our customer surveys were really overwhelmingly telling us, hey, you guys need to get Dobbins rods. You guys need to get Dobbins rods. And for anybody who's unfamiliar with our business, with Omnia, we're mostly e-commerce. We do have a brick and mortar store in Golden Valley that you're welcome to come in if you're close and check out and see how we do things. But we're basically warehouse e-commerce, most of the business, and rods are a challenge when you're, especially a new e-commerce businesses. They're expensive to ship, and as you guys every one of you listening to this knows what the supply chain was like this year and last year, even a little bit, with all that stuff. So it was kind of a leap of faith for us to take it, even though our customers had overwhelmingly told us, Rich and some of the other guys up here in Minnesota, like Sobe and a few others, had told us, hey, we'll help you if you guys do it. It just had to fit in right with timing and space and budgets, and it did. And it was funny that I thought we went pretty big for an opening order, to be honest with you. But I had a lot of faith in you guys jumping on them right away. So we went a little larger. We normally would layer in orders with like small little families and a few models in each one. We thought we kind of just spread ourselves out a little wide and a little thin, what I learned, because we got the rods last Friday. And as you guys go on there, you'll see we've sold a lot of them, which is good news. Thank you all so much. Luckily, Dobbins is cool, and they do support us. If we're low, they can ship a rod out for us, and so there's a good business synergy there already. So when you go on the site, if there's something you're not seeing that you want, either reach out to us or go ahead and try and close it out in that cart, and we'll get it shipped out to you. Some of them are drop shippable. Some of them we'll have to wait till they come in. But we got the rods Friday, and we were actually reordering today.
Awesome.
I'm pretty surprised myself how fast. And then the other thing I was surprised by is how much I liked a couple of the super high-end models. I'm usually pretty rod snobby, and I was running around in the shop for the last 2 days with one of my fancy reels on an ecstasy, just carrying it around while I talk to people. So nice. Pretty impressed so far.
Honestly, I haven't even held an ecstasy yet. So that's one of the things I'm excited about. Like Doug is saying, is like, there's not many places in the Twin Cities that carry Dobbins rods, and most of them don't carry very many, or the few that do don't also carry very many. So I'm excited to be able to get my hands on a few other models. I feel like I've got a pretty good understanding of how they work, and I don't have a problem ordering them. Because I usually know what I'm going to get, but it'll be nice to be able to swing into the shop and visit with Pete and grab some of these rods. And when I get questions that I can't answer, either maybe I can bop up, or I feel like Pete, right? I can probably reach out to Pete and be like, hey, go grab this rod and go grab this rod. Give me a little flex test and give me some feedback so I can answer some questions. For sure. And I'm ready for that to happen, because I'm really impressed so far. I mean, the crankbait models was something that when I spoke to Gary on the phone pretty extensively, I spoke to you quite extensively about the line and what models we should go with. And thank you for you helping guide us in some of the models we added early. A lot of them are gone, so sorry about that for that happened that fast. But
you kind of guided us in the right way. And Gary was really adamant about that. I would be really impressed with a lot of the moving bait rods, because I've only whined about it in like every podcast I've ever got to be on, but I can't stand glass rods. I buy them every year. I still buy glass rods every year because I get talked into it. And it's a weakness of mine. I understand at this point that it's my own problem, but I love so far the reaction bait rods from Dobyns that are not like straight 3-inch thick glass rods. I can actually tell that I can feel what's going on. So I'm pretty impressed so far with a lot of the rods.
I'm in the same camp. I'm anti-glass. I do not like glass rods. So did you get some of their glass rods and some of their non-glass cranking rods?
We went pretty wide. What we learned was we went thin as we went wide. We did a lot of 2s and 3s and 4s and stuff like that. And we should have probably gone deeper. But we got to learn what's going to be best sellers. But so far with the relationship with Dobyns and so far with the support we've gotten from our customers, I have a feeling it's going to be one of those lines, to your point, that we're going to be pretty wide in so that people can come into the store and bend them and check them all out. And, we'll just have to go really deep in some. I can definitely tell you this right now. I don't think this is a shocker to any Dobyns fans, but it was a shocker to me. The price point rods, like his entry level stuff from the Fury and the Caden and all that stuff. Even Sobeys 2 models of rods, like he's got a 7.2 heavy that's like super light. It's really crisp and alive. It's a really nice rod. Those things flew. I mean, it was like there's a following for them for a good dang reason. They're coming under that $150 price point, like the 129s and stuff like that, and they fly for a reason. If you're price point model shopping, like trying to compare budget rods to try and fill up your rod locker for like multi-purpose rods and stuff like that, I really suggest not just coming in to check out the bougie rods like I like. Come in and check those out. I think you'd be surprised. I think you'll find out why there's ravenous Dobyns fans if you haven't come and bent those rods.
Yeah, for sure. And I like my nice rods.
Me too.
For bottom contact, right? I don't have any XTCs yet, but I got a fair amount of HPs, and a handful of XPs. But I'm a big proponent of the Furies, the Savvies, or not the Savvies, the Sierras, and those rods for reaction baits. I don't think there's a need to spend $250 to $350 for a lot of these reaction. I mean, I think that's there's a time and a place for it, and I think those price point rods are really nice for some of that stuff. Speaking of the reaction bait rods, HellaBass, the 684 CB versus the 685 for the 110 to 120 size jerk baits. I have a 684 CB. I feel like it's a little underpowered for a 110.
And what family are they talking about?
So this is a Champion XP that he's talking about.
Got it.
I know a lot of guys do like it. My buddy Billy Coles fishes Smith Mountain down in Virginia, loves it. I much prefer the 704 CB for throwing a jerk bait. Now, some people maybe don't like that 7-foot rod. I don't have a problem with it. I think you're going to be happier with the 685 because I do feel like the 684 is a little bit lighter than the 704. So for your bigger jerk baits, if you want that 6.8 rod, I would definitely check out the 685 CB. There's also a Caden 610 dash. There's a 610 jerkbait rod in the Caden series as well, which are
they pretty moderate rods, Rich, or are they faster actions than those?
These are crankbait rods, so these are the moderate action.
Moderate, yeah, and
these are the non-glass reaction crankbait rods.
Yeah, but that's why I was asking. A lot of like crankbait rods that aren't glass tend to have like just a really soft tip and not load up all the way down the blank, and that's what I was kind of curious. I have not picked up either one of those rods.
You guys got the new 734 CBs. Those are brand new.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think many people have those yet. I don't think you have the 610 Caden, though. There is a 610 Caden jerkbait rod that's supposed to be pretty nice. But that would be another one to look at. All right, let's catch up on a few comments. AP Fishing wants to know if the Chapo 75 is going to be in stock anytime soon.
Actually, believe it or not, I think I said 45 times this year that Berkeley's catching up and we'll get a bunch of stuff. But we are literally getting like trucks on a daily basis. So to answer your question, I would not doubt that within the next couple weeks here, we are hard bait wise caught up. We're getting, believe it or not, caught up on all the Max Sense stuff, power bait stuff. Plastics are shipping on a daily basis. We're getting shipments from Pure Fishing. We're starting to see some durables. By that I mean rods and reels are starting to flow in. Hard baits, it's mostly frit sides and a few other crankbaits, but I think Chapos, I'm guessing they're going to be in these next bunch of batches. I know all the shipments are getting released now, and we're starting to fill up.
So what you do, if you don't know this, right, is you go in to here and you next to the colors of the Chapo you want, click this button, and then if you're signed in, right, I'm not signed in for some reason, but if you're signed in, and then they will give you an email alert as soon as it gets in. So as soon as it gets loaded to the site, there'll be an automatic email, and you'll be the first one to go before they get sniped.
Yeah, and that's with Berkeley more than anything. That's a good idea because, trust me, the orders we have are as deep as you can imagine, and it's really everything's coming in really punchy: 12s, 24s, 36s, stuff like that. Not big, giant, huge shipments. So doing those notifications is smart because you'll get the email before we even put it in the bin to go to put it on the site.
So what I do when I need something, I sign up for the alert. When I get it, I order whatever I need. And then I post my Instagram story saying, hey guys, the flatworms. Number one rule of HellaBass is always get yours before you tell your friends.
Yeah. We just got more flatworms today.
And Pete is one step ahead of that. He actually gets them from the cartons before they get put on the shelf, so that he circumvents it even faster.
Sometimes.
Yeah, David said they had Dobyns rods at the lodge, and he liked them so much that he ordered 2 when he got back.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a lot of your listeners and a lot of these guys that have been supporting us early on it. So once again, thanks everybody. It makes it a lot easier for us to, 1, know what we should be ordering more of, and 2, makes it easier to get gutsy and get more inventory flowing faster.
Yeah. And shout out to Fishing with Gramps. He's filling out fishing reports for Southern Indiana. So that's cool.
Thanks, buddy.
Check out his ambassador page or his YouTube channel.
Thanks, bud.
Eric says, I'm guilty. He wouldn't know how great Omnia was. It wasn't for me. Yeah. One thing we probably shouldn't overshadow, we haven't even talked about this, is which I haven't really even talked about in my social because I was so busy being gone.
Yeah.
Is that you guys are running an early Black Friday sale.
Yeah, we are. We are currently right now running a Black Friday sale. Ends tomorrow.
Tomorrow night. So apologize already for those of you that were hoping to save money, and now you came onto the stream and realized that almost everything is 20% off.
Yeah. There's a few exceptions, but definitely reach out if there's something you're after, or just go check out on the site there. Kip's always and the CSR team's awesome if you want to chat with them on the site about questions you got for anything you're after. They'll help you out. But yeah, the Black Friday sale's gone awesome. It's probably a little bit of a reason why we were a little beat up on a few of the Dobyns models, but that's why I highly encourage you, if you're interested in something that maybe you're not seeing, to just reach out. We'll figure it out. So far, Gary and the team at Dobyns has been fast.
Nice. Yeah. So either you click on that site and it'll apply the code. Otherwise, at checkout, early 20 is the code. And so Dobyns is not excluded.
No, you can get them.
Some of the normal stuff like Shimano, Mega Bass, that kind of stuff is excluded. I think Daiwa is excluded in this particular sale. So sorry for that, and you're welcome, depending on what your stance is on sales. Good point, Daniel. The premium membership is a pretty sweet deal.
It is.
A lot of people are loving that. You get free shipping on literally, you don't have no minimum. So like normally I think it's $50 to get free shipping, right?
Yep, it is. Yep.
But you can order 2 bags of flatworms to get free shipping if you're a member. Plus you get 10% back credit on all your orders. So if you go out and buy a new Dobyns HP, that membership will pay for itself on the very first purchase. So
correct.
Or just about any reels or things like that. So
for sure.
Yep, that's cool. Yeah, I think Sean's good point. Angler focus. I think is there anybody that doesn't fish at Omnia?
There's a couple of our guys that are not huge into fishing, but if they weren't there, then we would literally be doing this on a roadside stand and taking pictures for Instagram. So a lot of our really smart people that trust us to make good fishing decisions are not hardcore anglers, but they definitely like it and they're into it.
Things just got awkward.
How did they get awkward? Oh, he's sitting in a YMCA hot tub.
Brian's sitting at a hot tub right now. That's weird. And I think I haven't exactly worked out, but I think if Brian's available, the Wednesday night before Thanksgiving, we're going to do a stream. And we've been talking about doing another one of those giveaways where we do some like Secret Santa shopping, send each other the box, do an opening, and send them out. And I think we might do more instead of just like one box each. We might do multiple boxes. So yeah, I think the next 3 weeks. Next week, Matty Wong, Bassmaster National Champion, super cool dude. You guys are gonna love him. He's got a great personality. He's gonna be really easy to root for on the Elite Series when you guys meet him next week. And I think if it works out and Brian's not busy, the Thanksgiving week we're gonna do a fun giveaway show, and then our guy Josh Douglas, the 1st of December, coming back. So that's the next 3 weeks. Pretty stout.
Yep, that's good.
Let's see. Nice. Yeah, Pete's been actually doing work this week.
I actually have. Yeah, no, we've been a little bit overwhelmed in the warehouse there, so I've been jumping in and packing boxes.
Sean wants to know why the codes don't work on St. Croix anymore.
Some manufacturers do not allow you to break their MAP policies, so sometimes codes do not work for certain manufacturers.
Yeah. All right. Sycamore, good to see you. Yeah, Phil, the 610-4 CB was that rod I was talking about that Caleb asked about. So if he's looking for a shorter jerkbait rod, I would check this one out. I don't know if Omnia has it, but I bet you if they called him, they would figure it out.
We can get it. Yep.
How many of the 24 rods you took last week are Dobyns? All 24 of them. I don't have any rods that aren't Dobyns, full disclosure. I think I gave away the last of my non-Dobyns rods to the Farmington High School team last year. Oh, here's a good question. Any plans to carry OSP?
Yeah, talked to about all the Japanese manufacturers. There's some get shipments in big bulk, like they're not like regularly importing the products, so you kind of got to jump in at the right time and get your hands on them. And currently we're trying to get to a higher restock rate, trying to dial in our being able to forecast and being able to get our numbers correct as we order and stay better in stock. So there's a couple like OSP, Gancraft, some other Japanese manufacturers that will be sitting in outs for a long time. So we've got to wait till we can buy them in the volumes that would be proper, so we weren't out all the time.
Sure. Yeah, Thomas. I don't know how you could be late. Come on, there's millions of people in Chicago. Somebody's going to read those reports, Sean. A25 says there's a specific Kitech finesse jig that he needs.
What's that specific?
Well, he says there's a specific. He doesn't say which one, but just a specific Kitech finesse jig that I bought.
I bet you money they showed up today.
Ooh, so they'll probably show up soon.
Kitech was stacked up as high as I stand today before I left. So,
which isn't that tall, but it's
no,
tall.
It's not. I'm like 4'1".
I mean, you're taller than Fighter, but no. Have you threw the Mad Bull for finesse jigs?
I did actually. I threw I wouldn't call it a finesse jig. It was more like Seth's little stealth fighter and a half ounce. I skipped docks with it. And I tried to use it for a bunch of stuff you shouldn't use it for because the thing's kind of cool to fish with. It's super light and I got a little steez on it, and it's just it's a fun rod to fish with, but it is really slow. So
Is that a mega bass rod?
yeah, it's a mega bass rod, and it's funny because I tried to make it work for 20 different things that you shouldn't make it work for, and sometimes you need to just listen to the people telling you what it's for. It's like I ended up using it for smallmouth and a shower blows and a spook. It's a killer topwater rod, and honestly, I think I might swap it out for the Super Destroyer for a jig. I don't throw topwater enough. I don't fish down south enough.
Yeah. So just Thomas, kudos to you for filling out lake reports. But
yeah,
I should just highlight, like, if you guys want to like contribute to the community, you can just go out here and click on your lake or wherever you fish, and you want to fill out a report. It's not like the Angler app. There's no GPS bullseye right where you're fishing. It's more like it's a really easy form. You're like, hey, I'm fishing for crappie. I'm fishing for bass. Yeah. And it was in the weeds. It was in the rocks. It was in the timber. Right. And then you can list out a few baits, and you can add a picture if you want. It's like really directional data to help somebody new to a lake. And it's not giving away any secrets or GPS.
And if anybody reads your report and at all and clicks on any of the baits that you buy, you get $5 in credit.
Yeah. So if you think people are fishing lakes you're fishing and you think it would help them and they would click on something and they order, then you can get free store credit. So Jacob is confirming Kitech arrived today.
Yep. Should be a lot of Kitech. I wouldn't doubt we have more Kitech than we're not going to run out for a long time on any Kitech stuff.
Here's a good question. Can Canadian residents sign up for the membership?
I think there's some different we do service the Canadian markets now. And it actually has been going very well. And there is, I can't speak exactly for it. Chris does all that from our operations because there's a whole bunch of different laws and rules, and there's some stuff with duties and stuff that come back and forth. It's a lot harder than I imagined it would be. And yes, I believe there is a membership, but I don't think the numbers are exactly the same. But don't quote me on that. Please reach out tomorrow with any questions and we can get you the honest answer on that. I can't honestly say how exactly it works.
Maybe Jacob would mention the.
I know for sure you can get free shipping with a premium membership. I just don't know how much the kickback is. I'm not 100% sure.
Awesome. Cool. What's up, Tim? Good to see you.
What's up?
David says he loves the membership program, but it also gets him in trouble. Omnia is located in Golden Valley, Minnesota.
Yep.
Which is really nice, centrally located. I feel like you have really good shipping times. I mean, obviously for me, they're really good, but I also hear people like most of the people that live in the upper Midwest get their stuff in like 1 to 2 days free shipping.
Yeah, typically. We're probably going to be, just to give you a heads up, guys, we'll probably be moving by about third quarter next year, but it'll still be in somewhere in the metro-ish area where we've got it down to a few different locations.
Nice. Which I think there's some cool stuff happening. So like for the people that live in the cities, I think there's going to be some cool synergies from what I understand. So
yeah. We need more room.
Yeah. What's up? Thank you, Thomas Hines, for becoming a member. That's awesome, dude. Really appreciate it.
Cool.
That's a good question. I don't know if anybody's used. I mean, have you checked out the Cadence 734 crankbait rod yet? It's literally brand new. Have you held it yet?
I may have even taken it out when I was doing those videos, but I didn't even know what I was looking at yet. I'm still learning the line. Honestly, like I said before, I'm guilty of being kind of a snobby about stuff. I've been playing with the XTC rods like crazy.
So which XTC rod was the?
That 7-foot heavy. That was the 705.
704.
I've been playing with that thing, like walking around with it while I talk to people and go to meetings and just keeping a reel on it and trying to justify why I need to try it.
Nice. Yeah, I think the 734 literally, you guys got to be one of the first people to carry them, because I think in the Dobyns newsletter blast that went out just like a week or two ago, they announced it in the newsletter. So it's a pretty new rod. So
it's pretty cool. It's a lot different than I thought it was going to be. I thought it, obviously you think it's going to be nice and it's that kind of money and all that kind of stuff, but it's a real alive feeling. It's the handle length's perfect for me for exactly what I'd want to use it for, like a jig or mountain docks and stuff. It's a pretty special rod. It feels really cool.
Nice. Yeah,
hard to explain.
When are the kick knockers come back?
What's that, bud? You broke up there for a second.
Kick knocker.
Kick knockers?
When are those coming in?
We ordered all that stuff 25 times this year, so it's all a matter of. The problem is it's through a few different distributors plus direct to the manufacturer, and you're just waiting game. I have no idea. Skull, nice.
Honestly, I just layered up. Like I've just got like some Under Armour base stuff, and then layers, and then probably an Arsenal fishing hoodie, and then my Shimano rain gear. And then if it's really cold, I got some Ice Armor rain gear that I never use for ice fishing, but it's really nice for winter fishing.
Yeah. Nothing special here either. It's about the same.
All right. You guys can reach out to Jacob if you need a model. So there you go. Well, you guys already have Geek Crack, but I don't know.
Yeah, we got lots of Geek Crack, lots and lots of it.
Unless there's a specific thing, but you got
whatever they got in
sticks and the bellows gills. I don't know.
When they got it in stock, we have tons of it on order. So it's kind of similar. If you look around some of the sites that carry a lot of JDM stuff, and you see them get something, we're going to shortly get it because we're in a bad spot for it in the middle of the country. Some stuff we get faster. Like if it's Rapala, we beat everybody. But if it's something like from the West Coast, we get it a little late.
Sure. Yeah. It's early 20, right? Early 20 is
early 20. Yeah. Right at the top of the page, you can click on it and it puts it in the cart for when you're shopping before you check out. So
yeah. So it's right up here.
Yeah. You click on that banner up top and you're good.
So that works on lots of things. Besides the normal exclusions.
Yeah, and reach out if you got any questions. Kip can take care of you. There's a chat feature on the site.
All of them, right?
How many smokes does Seth go through in a day of fishing? Totally depends on the day of fishing, actually. That last Thursday or Friday, I can't remember.
Were you part of the Dirty 30, or was that somebody else that was out with him that day?
I was there with him, same spot 2 days before the Dirty 30. I got to go back to work when he did the Dirty. I was with him when he got a 615, and we had a couple other giants, but we did not have 30 pounds.
So you only had 1 6 instead of 3 6s that day.
I think he had 2.
Okay.
And then the rest of them, of course, I'm not even kidding you. Shocker here, but we didn't get to weigh any of my fish. They were all small. Which I would have bet you at least a few of them were close to 5, but yeah, no, it depends on how good the fishing's going. If the fishing's going really good, not that many smokes. If the fishing sucks, he goes through a lot.
Nice. So Pete just had like 21, 22 pounds out of the back of the boat. Nothing.
Probably, to be honest with you.
So what's your favorite bougie reel these days?
Dude, that's honestly, they've been the same for a long time, but this year actually is the first year it's changed in a while. I think I like that new Zillion SV, the brand new one, more than anything else, I think. But it's only been one season. It's about half the season. I fished with it a lot. I like it more for, that one. I like it more for
a transformer kind of.
Yeah, I like it more for chunking and winding and flipping. But here's the issue. I didn't actually think it was super good for skipping as much as some of the lesser expensive reels. maybe it's just the way I'm used to skipping, you know, with other reels or whatever. I have a few of the little Steez CTs that I think are just awesome little reels, but for the money, I think next year I'll have a whole bunch of zillion SVs, to be honest.
What do you think for like a skipping reel? Do you think the regular Tatula SV or the Elite?
I think the regular Tatula SV actually skips better than the Elite. The
And the flip
Elites,
and pitch.
yeah, and the flip and pitch, they are way nicer spools. They're faster. They cast further. The reels are more solid. They're quieter. The SVs tend to get a little dry sometimes and squeal more, but the SVs are like 50 to 60 bucks less, sometimes a little less than that. And the spool's just bulletproof, or the spool is foolproof. You can skip like crazy with that spool and you won't screw up. So depends on how much you skip and how good you are at it. I'm not that good at it, so the SB helps me a lot.
Nice. That's what I use on my dock rod.
Yeah. Do you know what's a sleeper is? Is actually something you've been using for frog fishing, that coastal SV with 100 mil on it. People don't realize that reel's super versatile. There's a lot of cool stuff you can do with that reel. And it's if you like that all metal frame like the Elites have, but you want that SV spool that doesn't backlash, try that blue coastal reel that Rich uses. It's actually a pretty sleeper reel.
And if you're fishing a Dobyns Champion XP, that thing will look amazing on that rod.
There you go. There you go.
Thomas has got a question about the Maxent Critter Hog. Is it just backed up or is it gone?
I don't know on the Critter Hog. I know the Creature Hogs we just got, but the Critter Hog, I don't have an honest answer for you on that. I don't know. If it's alive in the Maxent line, we didn't get a choice. It's all ordered, and there's lots of it.
Yeah, that's another good point. I don't know if you're still doing it, but for a while there's been drawings lately for weekly $250.
Yes, $250, and it's still going. Yes.
Yeah.
We're also doing a wish list one now where you get $200 a week. We're giving out if you fill out a wish list and share it. Which Steez AGS is Pete's favorite casting and spinning? If you're referring to the new ones, I've only fished with one model, so that would be my favorite so far. Actually, since I don't work with Daiwa anymore, I didn't get to play with those ones that much. I played with some prototypes before they were even had those handles or the cork on them or anything like that. So if it's the old models, it was definitely the 7-1 heavy. Me and my friends still have a bunch of those that get kicked around. But I actually, in the new ones, I only used it was a spinning rod. It was a 7-1 medium light or 7-1 medium. And I liked it a lot. But I don't have a favorite yet in the new Steez AGS.
Nice. So speaking of, right, so you said there's also a wish list thing right now.
Yeah.
So like they're doing a ton of things. So like don't be afraid to just go to Omnia and click around and read all the specials. But so if once you're logged in and have an account, if you go somewhere and you want to make sure you don't forget to get the new 3.5-inch adrenaline claws, which I'm pretty excited to put on the back of a jig, which I don't have any yet. And you can click add to wish list, right?
Yep.
And then let's see here. You should be able to go to your wish list.
Yep.
All right. And then you can share this and send it to your mom, your dad, your brother, your uncle, or anybody, right?
Yeah.
Any kind of the stuff that you want. So it's a great way to like make sure people don't screw up, right? You give like the exact colors, the exact model, the exact weights, add them to your wish list and send them to the people that say, what do you want for Christmas? And hopefully you get what you want. And then also you'll be entered in a drawing. So,
yep. Do we put $200 gift card towards your wish list? So
glide bait rod, depending on the size of the glide bait. But the Fury 795 SB, assuming you're not throwing really big glides and you're just starting out with like Arashi glides and Savage glides and like River to Sea 168s, that Fury 795 is a great rod.
I got a pretty.
I don't know if you have any other non-Dobbins rods that you would recommend, but that's the Dobbins rod I would recommend.
I've thrown a glider way too much to have not caught any big fish on a glide. So I'm not the guy to ask about glide fishing, but
You
I
probably
have,
hear though people buy rods and what they like.
yeah,
So.
for sure. And I've worked with people that design swim bait rods and stuff. So I've definitely been in the boat and seen big fish caught on the glide and know all that stuff. But I have a Gancraft rod that's like a 7, I think it's a 7.4. It's pretty short. That's pretty cool, but like I said, I don't know if it's any better than any other rod. I actually, believe it or not, the rod I threw the most of the glide the last few years is a prototype rod that is now in the Kage series, is a swim bait rod. It's a 7.9, I believe, 7.9 heavy swim bait rod in the Kage lineup. We have them at Omnia. It's, if you don't want to spend $500 on a swim bait rod, that Kage rod's sweet. Or I take one of Rich's suggestions on the Dobyns rods. We've got all the swim bait rods up on the site now.
The Fury is like 140, I think.
Yeah,
but
I'd go that route.
I'm kind of like you. I got one. It was sitting down here. It's been sitting down here for weeks. It doesn't stay in the boat. My swim bait rod. Favorite jig rod? Why don't you go first, Pete?
Oh, that's so like, I mean, I know it's corny to say it because I think 90% of bass fishermen say jig's their favorite thing to fish with, but I have like different jig rods for different types of jigs, like a big grass flipping jig, a dock jig, a sparse grass jig, but I would say if I had to go right down the middle, it's pretty nerdy, but I'd say this year my favorite jig rod was probably, that was locked in my hand the most, was it's actually a 7-foot medium heavy BLX rod. It's a fast action, like Japanese 7-foot medium. It was shorter than I normally fish with a jig and a little underpowered, but I was doing a lot more braid to a leader fishing this year, like Seth does, trying to get that confidence up in that. And it worked good. I liked it a lot. So right now I would say that's my favorite, like, jig rod, but I can be talked into a few different jig rods depending on the time of year and how big a jig I'm throwing.
Yeah, I got 2.
Yeah,
actually 3, but 2. Like, so my dock rod is this 705 right here, and I use the Champion Extreme HP because I fish a lot of docks.
Yeah,
you could totally get away with the 705 Fury, the 705 Champion, very similar action. All around jigging, I like the 745, like when I'm not trying to skip it. I can still skip with this pretty good, but I like that little bit longer rod when I'm just flipping and pitching grass. A close favorite coming in late this year, though, is the jig special rod, the Champion 7, the XP 744. Almost fishes as strong as the 745. It's a much heavier action than like the 734 Champion XP, and I have really grown to love that rod. And I honestly don't think there's $100 better value. Like I don't know if it's worth it buying the Extreme when you can get that XP after fishing them for half a year. So Luke wants to know, any chance of getting the new Daiwa Steez 2021 AGS line?
Yeah, they're ordered. We'll have them. I don't know when we're going to have them. There's a little bit of a delay in the whole process it's a big, long story, but yeah, we'll have everything they got shortly.
I don't know. So what I think makes Omnia cool, besides that I shop there a lot and it's super close and easy for me, I would say that, like, if you're a newer angler or if you're traveling to new places, their shop by lake feature is really nice. The fact that you can go and see what people in the user group are like buying or spending or things like that, I think that's cool. The customer service, and then I think the angler focus. Like, most of the guys there fish and they know what's going on, and if they don't know, they work with the ambassadors in the areas to figure out what they need. They offer a lot of cool programs that are unique that we've talked about. I don't know, what else would you add, Pete?
Yeah, I appreciate what you said. It's we try really hard to make really relevant additions to our assortment. regionally. We're working just like we are in Minnesota to carry the stuff for Minnesota anglers that's catching fish. We do the same thing around the country. We work with different people regionally to add the most relevant tackle for those regions. So, as much as it started out without the intention of having one of the biggest assortments in bass fishing, it was about having the best tackle assortment for each region possible. I already believe, just because of my past, that we probably have one of the top 3 biggest assortments in bass fishing already in the country as far as depth goes. We're over 20,000 SKUs in bass fishing, and we're really pretty still new to the game, and we're growing quite rapidly, and we'll be adding more soon. So I think we help you. We have a really good assortment. We have really good customer service. I know for a fact we have the fastest shipping in the industry. That's part of our operations team's skills. They are really good at it. And yeah, we have killer programs too. That premium program basically makes us, in my opinion, one of the smartest places to shop for tackle.
Yeah. And interesting is, like, literally 12 months ago, you probably weren't in the top 10 of selection.
Correct.
Like, honestly, like,
inaccurate. Yeah.
The people that, when I started kind of like working with Omnia and helping you guys and like, you guys didn't have a lot 12 months ago. I'll be honest. Like I was constantly ordering, back then from Tackle Warehouse, filling in the gaps. But now, like, there are really few things that I can't get at Omnia that I would want.
Yeah, we're coming on fast and hard. It's hard. I mean, it wasn't as easy as I pictured it. When we got good budgets to go, I have enough connections. I've worked in the industry long enough. I was like, okay, they'll watch me go. And the supply chain was what it was. And it was like, I don't care what you want to order, Pete. We don't have anything. You're not getting that. Or, it was just like, it was a real work in progress. And it really is a challenge to try and dial it in and make sure you have all the pages built, the bins. That, honestly, one of our biggest struggles this year has been just getting, sounds crazy, guys, but believe it or not, you can come in and visit and see what we're talking about. We're still running into issues that we can't get enough bins and racking and shelves. They take forever there's just tape ran out for a while. Cardboard rod tubes ran out for a while. Couldn't get those. We were buying them on a secondary market for more money than they were worth. So I think in the next year or two, people will be really impressed if things level off really easy about how much bigger we'll be in the next 12 months.
That's cool. Yeah. Shout out to Gabe, Tin Horse Monty. He also fills out fishing reports, I know, for Central Illinois and Missouri. So kudos to him, and check out Gabe's channel.
A lot of big news coming on that front too, guys. And I'll preface it this way. I shouldn't even be talking about it. And I'm not saying that to be a nerd either. I really shouldn't. But for all you that are taking the time to do that, you're going to be pretty impressed here soon when you see what's coming down the pipeline. I didn't leave my career to go work in retail. I promise. That wasn't my goals in life and where I was going. There's a lot of cool stuff coming down the pipeline from our tech team that you're going to see that's first in class when it comes to all those lake pages and the mapping and all that stuff. There's a lot of cool partnerships coming and cool tech for you guys.
Cool. Yeah. So like you said, just more and more. So the people that are putting in the time, ambassadors, members, more perks down the road. As you guys grow, the perks will grow. So I think if my HPH high-powered herring was stuck, I would walk out in the water too. So I don't blame you. Let's see here. Oh, catching up. Yeah. So Thomas, there's a storefront in Golden Valley. They kind of got a unique setup. It's kind of like a little showroom up front with a smattering of goods. And then they have like 2 or 3 computer terminals that you can order from, or you can just talk to somebody, or you can get your questions answered or look at some stuff, but then you just kind of go over and fill out your order, and then somebody will pick it for you in like 10 minutes or something like that.
Yep. Yeah.
So here's a question I get asked, and I don't know the answer to. If somebody comes into the store and fills out the order, is there a place to enter a discount code? Like,
either KIP, one of our guys in one of the CSR guys or one of our warehouse guys that are out there can either manually enter it at the iPads if you want to check the stuff out first. It's like a lot of times if someone's like curious, like I don't know how big those the new 3-inch adrenaline craws are. I want to see how big they actually are. If you want to see all that stuff first, you can just put your cart together. They'll pick the order, and then the guys can enter a code in. You just tell them what it is, and they'll punch it in. Otherwise, yeah, you can check out at one of those computer terminals and use a code as well. Absolutely, it pretty easy.
Yeah. So Thomas, if you're here, it's right off 55, Highway 55 between downtown and 494. So it's pretty centrally located in the cities as of now. Did you go to Kennedy as well, Pete?
No, I grew up in Syracuse, New York.
So you must have been talking about Seth. So, all right.
Yeah.
I guess I'll have to catch up on the SpaceX launch later.
Yeah, me too.
Well, any insight on this? Logan wants to know why did Daiwa change the handles on their reels?
It depends on when you're talking about, because the reels handles they got now have been around for a while. So they changed from like the old, which were like coated cork knobs. Man, that was a while ago now. The ones that all the Daiwa snobs, like myself, so I'm not picking on you, trust me, whined about when they switched to like rubber knobs like everybody else uses. That was that was like 15 years ago. So they've been using rubber knobs for quite a while, but they've got different style knobs depending on the reel. So you'd have to be more specific on the model that you're talking about. But the cork style knobs everybody gets upset about, that was a long time ago.
I must have missed that.
Lucky Craft lipless coming soon.
LV 500s? I don't know. I'm not sure.
Actually, we'll see. Lucky Craft's been a pretty dicey operation for a while, but we actually have a pretty extensive Lucky Craft assortment on order. Who owns Omnia Fishing? It's venture capital, so there's a bunch of us that there's the 3 original founders that own most of it are Matt Johnson, Dan Wick, and Chris Morgo, who are the CEO, the CTO, and the COO of the company. And then there's some investors as well.
Yeah, I think Matt might be somebody good to have on the stream maybe this winter.
Matt's super interesting. He worked for Lowrance. He sold a mapping company. The mapping software, if you guys are Lowrance guys, that's a lot of Matt's brainchild. So,
do you know if you'll be doing the no hassle replacement for Dobbins?
It'll depend on Dobbins, how Dobbins wants to handle that. I would imagine so if Dobbins wants to say we can do it over the counter, but as we all know, the abuse on that is just brutal. People abuse the hell out of those policies. So if Dobbins wants to handle it, let us do it that way, then yeah, we'd have no problem doing it. But they got to be okay with just us saying, sure, take broken rods and send us new ones.
Better late than never. Glad you like the hoodie. Good reminder. Thumbs up is always appreciated. If you guys are interested, entertained, enjoy the content, thumbs up always helps a little bit. We talked about this earlier. OSP is something you're working on. I don't know. I would assume
OSP probably not this. It's certainly not going to be this year unless it was like second or third quarter. But I got no line on those coming in enough volume for us to order them yet. Not gonna say anything about depths just yet. Let's just say, yeah, it's depths is in the works, but I don't have enough details to go into how big it's going to be yet or when.
Here's a question for you on the BLX.
Power pitch stees. I love the BLXs so far, but there's really only 2 models that I've really liked, and one is a composite rod, which is not, me and Rich were both lamenting about our hate for glass. They have a 7.4 heavy, like everybody else's chatterbait rod that everybody makes. that's really light, and it actually does bend all the way down, but it's really light and crisp, and I can feel a lot with it. So I like that one, and it's balanced really well. And 7-foot medium that I use for a jig, or skip some docks with it and stuff like that. That I liked a lot too. That's really balanced, but balance also comes from where you hold your hand and what reels you put on a rod. So I think they're super balanced, but that's because I choke up on a reel and I run light reels too. So
I think it works, right? You don't have to share it with somebody else with an Omni account. I think you can share it with anybody.
yeah, no, you just share it with anybody. We can see if it's been shared. If you create a wish list,
it's a link that you can literally just send them a URL.
Yep.
Does Omni have Afterpay? I think they do, don't they? Or something?
There's been a few different companies that have tried to kind of link up. So I don't know. We will, and I think we've worked with them on a few different.
I feel like there's something in the. I've never used it, but I feel like there's some payment something in the cart, like where you can do it in installments or something. I don't. There's something. I don't remember exactly what.
Different ones to Shopify we've played with. We're waiting to kind of see what the customers like to use. Thank you very much. It's been a chore, but it's working.
Thomas says he's got the Omnia sticker on his work van. Nice.
Heck yeah! Thank you.
And for that he requests more jewel baits.
I honestly, that's probably my favorite thing about seeing. Like Rich, you'd enjoy this part of my job too. It's like the stuff that you would think. When you're sitting there and you got somebody pressuring you about a budget, right? And you got to guess what baits are going to sell in what region. Like if I got jewel baits, they're going to sell in the Ozarks. And it sounds simple when we're talking about it, but when you're actually spending the money on it, like big dollars, and you're just hoping, but it's fun to watch that when we go through the orders to see Jewel ships to Missouri like crazy, Gambler ships to Florida like crazy, like the regionality of it all. So yes, the bigger we get in the Ozarks region, the more Jewel we'll carry.
Yeah.
Or if we can get people in New York to buy Jewel.
Which makes you nervous because like it just reminded me when I drove to Louisiana and back, right? Like we'll buy a lot of cool looking tackle shops.
Yeah.
Like regional ma and pa, stuff. And it's like, if I would have stopped in any of those, I didn't have time, but like, I would imagine they would have had a whole wall of Jewel and Zoom and right. And it's like, so you're like, yeah, they'll sell there, but like, are people going to order online from Minnesota when they can get it? They do, but
they do.
So, but that's kind of your hesitation and your nervousness is like,
well, I think I know it's going to sell regionally, but then you find out it works and it makes you feel good. So
yeah, cool. Be cool to see what you get, Gee fan. You should snap a picture, tag them on Instagram, show everybody what you got.
Absolutely.
I'd have to agree. I think we should have like a Metro rod tube collection, like where we can bring you guys free rod tubes to reuse.
Yeah, if it ever becomes an issue again, trust me, we thought about that. That's not a new idea. We had that idea, but we got a lot now. We got a lot of them now.
What's up, Aiden Bates? Good to see you. All right, Critical Gavy's having an Ocean's Bourbon. Nice. What do you got, Pete?
I have from my recent trip to Tennessee to the Pittman Creek show, or it was actually, to Tennessee, yes. We stopped in Kentucky, and I got Weller, a bourbon out of Kentucky.
Look at you guys, bourbon buddies.
There you go.
I got the usual Kraken with some Diet Dr. Pepper in here in a reusable Taco Bell cup.
There you go.
Because I'm bougie like that.
Yeah. Fancy rods and fancy drinks.
All right. Have you played with the NRX rod, specifically the 821 Ned rig rod?
I fished with a bunch of the older NRX rods, and I get crap from every Loomis fan on planet Earth because I never got it. They obviously felt better than most rods ever on the planet, but I didn't like the actions that much. I think they were fish losers. The action wasn't for me.
Too fast for your liking.
Yeah. The handles weren't my style either. No, there's a bunch of stuff I didn't like about them. The new ones are in. We've got we get like 2 models at a time and only a couple of each model when they show up. So I haven't had the guts to take them out and fish with them or buy one or get one for a buddy and use it or anything like that. So to be completely honest, I have not fished with any of the NRX Plus model, the new ones. In hand, they feel phenomenal. They feel, in my opinion, they're more like rods I like. I thought the old ones were way overrated. I think the new ones, to me, feel like they could be something super special. Now they feel like what the praise they were getting back in the day. But at the same time, that's a lot of money for a rod, so you better love it. I have not fished with them though. I'd love to give you an honest opinion once I've actually fished with them, but we just haven't got enough of them in yet for me to steal one yet.
Yeah, I would say give shout out to Punch Fishing. So check out Brian.
Yeah, he
Punch
does a lot of
Fishing.
reviews on them. Yeah.
Instagram, YouTube. He does a lot with NRX and Loomis and some of those Shimano rods. I have no experience with them, and I will say just like this is just rods in general. Rods are kind of like sneakers or running shoes. Like Pete's got his idea what he likes in a rod and the grip and the feel and the actions, and I have what I like, and Brian like so. I know Brian doesn't particularly care for like how the reel seats on the front of a Dobyns, the way he chokes up on a rod, doesn't really care for it. He much prefers the NRX, and it's really a personal. I mean, like there is no definitive right answer for fishing rods,
and that's what I was going to say. You're right, Rich, because like the new NRX rods have a handle like I like, because I'm like Brian. I like to have my hand above the reel seat, but I learned this the hard way. People who are massively opinionated about fishing rods, or reels, like the left hand, right hand argument. Like you're really going to win that one if I reel better with my right hand, that it makes more sense to you with the left hand. Like I did rod R&D stuff with some of the best rod engineers. A lot of the rods that a lot of guys think are the best rods in the world, I worked with those guys and traveled around and did rod and R&D with them. People hold rods in different ways. People like different reel seats. People split their fingers on the reel seat. Some of the people who hold the rod that way will outfish any of the guys who hold their hand up here. You know what I mean? So it all does come down exactly like you said to personal preference. For example, the old NRX rods had a little nubby grip on the spinning reel, and I didn't like it. I like the new forward grip on it, but it's the Dobyns Ecstasy. The reel seat on that and the chuck I like because it's smooth around the chuck. Where I pinch my fingers, and the reel seat's perfect. The spinning rod I don't like that much. So it does exactly like you said. I caution anybody who takes like a certain opinion too far. Try things for yourself and see what you like, because rods are just, it's a great analogy. They are like shoes. It's what you like best. I found myself liking shorter rods the last few years than I ever liked. And all of a sudden we got these Miller rods in from Australia, and they're weird. They're completely different than everything else. Actions, lengths are totally different. And for some reason I have a gut feeling I might like them, and they're all super, super long. It all is in what you're comfortable with and how you're catching them. And if you're catching them, it's like a knot. Don't change the knot because someone tells you it's better. If you don't break your knot, just keep tying that knot.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think, I mean, like Loomis are going to have in general a little bit faster, crisper actions. And like, for instance, a Dobyns is going to have a little bit softer tip across the board. Yeah. And some people prefer one versus the other. Some people feel the Dobyns is a little bit better. Like it keeps fish pinned a little better. It feels like it gives you a little more accuracy for casting. Other people really like that really fast, crisp action. And it's really, you got to do you. Like, I can tell you what I like and what I like about certain things, but you may not love what I like. So like, just take that with a grain of salt. So
I will tell you this to back up Rich's point on that, to drag this thing out a little bit more. But I know a lot of the guys that were on the pro staffs for a lot of these brands, that I talk to all the time, and most of them that had access to both high-end G Loomis and the Shimano rods are actually tournament fishing with the Shimano rods because the actions were more modern tapers, like Rich is talking about with Dobyns rods, because of our no stretch lines now. There's no question if it was the days of monofilament that a Loomis action and a Loomis blank was the superior rod. I mean, they were the deal at their time. But now with a lot of modern lines, you do tend to boat more fish with the modern actions. And I do think to that point, the new NRXs are going down that line.
Yeah, Chris, I'm not sure if you're talking about the actual Dobbins side or Omnia. Omnia just got in a bunch of Dobbins rods, and they're getting in a bunch more. And they're running a early 20 Black Friday sale through tomorrow night. So
is Dobbins out of stock? Are you talking about Dobbins side or ours? Because we have quite a bit on there, and if Dobbins is out of a bunch, we did buy a lot of rods from the last week. So, but I'm sure we'll have more on there soon.
That's a question. Do you guys have any plan to get into like marine electronics and that type of stuff and mapping chips?
Your buddy Punch there just hit me up about that today, about marine, I should say, not electronics. But yes, marine is in the future for Omnia. We want to do it properly. We have to be really good at what we're doing first and make a scalable business and a profitable business before we jump into spreading ourselves out in all different realms of the fishing industry. So I think we've accomplished our goal so far really well. So yes, you will see us making a pretty large splash in the marine electronics and marine business soon.
And to be honest, the margins are crap.
Yeah.
So like there's not a lot of upside for you guys.
so to your point, we need to scale the business first and make it a profitable business first.
Before you can sell a bunch of stuff that hardly makes any money and has a ton of overhead.
You got it. And requires a ton of customer service and all that.
Nice. Cool. That's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you, Tim.
All right. Have you fished with the Jig Freak?
Honestly, and I mean that just to nerd out on rods for a minute, like most of us that are at least hardcore anglers or rod snobs or anything like that have touched most of, have all at least seen or got their hands on most of the rods. Like even for as much as I've been around rods my entire career in the fishing industry, I'd never touched a Dobyns Ecstasy till the other day. I will tell everybody out there listening that the Miller rods might be the sneakiest rods I've ever picked up. And the biggest shocker to me, I did it as a favor for Carl Jochmason, who's a friend of mine. He actually reached out and said, well, dude, Pete, will you just do me a favor and get him in the store and help us get the ball rolling a little bit? And I said, yeah, help me do some videos and stuff. And he did it. And they're wild. One, you better like long rods. They're really long. And two, you better like tiny guides. I'm a braid to a leader guy, and at least I'm growing into it. And they're not an easy rod to pass knots through unless you're really good at FGs and you like light braid. You better be a 30-pound braid guy with a jig and leaders like fighter stuff to be a braid to a leader guy with them. Otherwise, if you're a straight braid and a straight fluoro guy and you like really long rods, you don't have a tiny boat like I do, check them out. I will say I bought the Swim Freak, which is a 7/8, and I have a Bass Cat Saber, which is like a foot shorter than Rich's boat. And I hit my console like 9 out of 10 casts when I fish with the things. It drives me nuts. So you better like really long rods, but they are really light and really insanely well balanced. And you can tell little secret, Ian Miller, the guy who makes them, he was Shimano's rod designer for decades and decades. Did work with G. Loomis, all of them, and that's his own branch off company that he started out of Australia.
Very cool.
Very expensive too. So if you're looking at Furies and Cadens, stick with the Furies and Cadens.
This is a good question from Daniel. I'm not sure that I know. I know you've been in the fishing industry forever, but what got you into the fishing business?
It's. I wish it was like a super cool story, but it was more like I had a pretty bumpy childhood and a pretty rough early 20s and all that. I was kind of a mess. I met my now wife, who, like a lot of the stories you hear, kind of started to straighten my life up a little bit. And I was in and out of a lot of trouble and stuff like that. And I actually got some friends that got me into, they had cabins. I grew up in New York and we did not have cabins. I did not fish much in New York. So I started fishing with them and I loved it, but it was the typical Minnesota, go up on a weekend and troll and jig for walleyes and stuff like that in the fall. And my wife wanted me to get a job at Cabela's when they were building the store in Rogers. She said, get a job there part-time. Cause I had a pretty decent job installing kitchen countertops. And only thing that had me into fishing was I bought some of the Linder Media VHS tapes and DVDs and books, and because I didn't know what I was doing, I couldn't catch a fish to save my life on my own. I needed to go with someone who could catch a fish. And then I started working at Cabela's, and I think everybody I worked with initially at that Cabela's and Rogers is somewhere in the industry now, whether they work for a manufacturer, they're a rep, they are a guide, or they're a tournament angler or something with their career. So it was really more just I got to work with people that were really, really good at what they did and really taught me how to love fishing. So cool. Yeah, ever since I started working there, I never looked back. I didn't want to do anything else. I worked 7 days a week for 15 years to try and make it in the fishing industry.
Fury rods. Didn't think they were very sensitive compared to other people in that price range. So I mostly use Fury rods for braid applications. I throw
moving baits,
moving baits, top waters, occasionally like a spinner bait. I do use it as my dock rod for like a spinning rod, like a 703, like, braid for Senkos and things like that. So I'm not using them for a ton of things that need a ton of sensitivity. I also have not fished many other $120 to $130 rods, so I can't really speak to the other rods. I've never had any issue with my Senko rod and sensitivity. But I do say that sometimes what you may like or what you feel is sensitive might be a faster action. And like I said, sometimes that softer tip in the Dobyns maybe feels like it's less sensitive because it's got a softer tip. And it really, like, sensitivity, there is no like, just like medium heavy and fast and moderate, like there is no standard. Like every rod company is making up their own definitions of medium and fast and heavy and all that stuff. So it is a little bit subjective, and so is sensitivity. What feels sensitive to you may not be what somebody else thinks feels sensitive. And a lot has to do with how you hold a rod and what you do with it and all that kind of stuff. So I can't really speak. I've heard a lot of positive things. A lot of people like what they get for the Fury. But like I said, I haven't fished a lot in other ranges, and I don't typically use Furies in that fashion.
And to back him, I haven't fished with the Fury to give you an honest opinion. I just picked him up in the store literally since last Friday. But I'm pretty familiar with most of the other rods in the price range, and none of them that I can think of are going to be like earth-shatteringly different just from what I felt on Friday, unless the thing's like completely dead, which I doubt. But a lot of times when you're in that price range, you're not going to get something that's going to light your world on fire. And just like with a $500 rod or $120 rod, believe it or not, line can change a lot of that for you too. You might have a confidence line you're fishing with right now. And I understand not wanting to switch that, but sometimes if you're not feeling a lot with the rod, try different lines, try stiffer fluorocarbons, try different braids, things like that, and see what you can get out of the rod if you've already owned it.
Yeah. I'm also a big fan of the Sierra series. I really like, as a non-glass person, the Sierra is the most moderate actions in the lineup. Now, I think there's a shortage on Sierras right now from Dobbins. So you guys don't have I don't think you only have some like the ultralight and trout stuff.
Yeah.
I think that is something when they come available that you guys will probably carry. But I have the 3 and 4 power, like 703, 734 Sierras for chatterbaits and spinnerbaits. Like, as a person that doesn't like glass.
Yeah.
Those rods, they're a little like, and a lot of walleye guys really love the Sierras because they just have that slightly slower action, which is really good in my opinion for action baits. It's a really good graphite rod that has good sensitivity, but a slightly slower action. Now, some people don't like them when they fish them for like bottom bouncing baits. They much prefer the Cadens at that same price point because the Cadens are a little faster, a little crisper. But I really love them for the reaction baits.
For sure.
Yes, that's also, I would say, like, that's one thing we didn't talk about earlier. Good thing that Brian pointed out is that Omnia gives a lot back to the communities that support them. So that's cool.
Thank you very much. I fish with my wife, and she's more hardcore than me. Did I tell you what? Jen's turning in more hardcore than I am too.
Nice. This is a question. I don't know if I've ever heard this come up. Do you guys do any price matching for other sales, or do you kind of just do your own?
You, I don't know of any policy we have for that. I've never heard of us not, if you reach out to Kip, there's a chat feature on the site. You'll see, you can chat with anybody at the site or email us at hello@omniafishing anytime you want. I've never heard of us not price matching something if it's out there. But I don't know if we have a exact policy on that. You know, there's a lot of sites that do have like a standard policy. I know we had it at Cabela's when I was there, but it was like, there was a million rules to it. Like we had to call and find out if they had it in stock. It was the exact same model and all that stuff. And honestly, we don't have time for that. If we can match the price, we'll match the price. So I don't know what our policy is on it.
So reach out. Customer service will do what's fair and honest for you guys. So
exactly. Have you tried the GCX? Just picked them up in another one like the actually, I think we've got less GCXs than NRXs. I think I've touched 4 models of it so far. I love the spinning rod handles on them, like more than I like any of the other G Luma spinning rod handles. They don't feel super light, and they feel a little bit more tip heavy than the other ones. But I haven't touched enough models or fished with them to have an honest opinion for you.
I've never fished the evergreen rod, but I've heard people say that they do not love the evergreen rod.
It's hard. That's a hard one for me because I was working with them when they built the rod, and I never liked it, not because of the rod blank. It's got the ACS. It's Fuji's ACS reel seat, which, if any of you are familiar with it, it's got like 2 triggers on it. I don't understand for the life of me how it's similar to what Rich, you were talking about earlier about Brian with choking up on a rod. Oh, he hates it. And I can't hold a rod with 2 triggers on it. One of the triggers digs into my hand. So I will say Brett Hite and Marizo are 2 of the greatest chatterbait fishermen, most accomplished in the history of mankind. They swear up and down that blank is straight up the deal for it. But I can't feel if I've got 4 pounds of coontail on it when I'm reeling the bait back in. So I never got into the rod at all. I don't get it.
Yeah. This is a good point too. That everybody's rod game in the last 5-10 years has gotten a lot better.
It is getting better. Yeah. And sadly, because a lot of them are using like a lot of the same manufacturers. So a lot of the super opinions out there are not super smart.
I don't know if you fish the whip snake, but I know Brian has a lot of like videos on the whip snake too. So check out Punch Fishing if you don't get what you need from Pete on this. There's
a few different models of the whip snake too, like different lineups. It depends on what you want to spend. But the Levante and the Orochi, they're both, to me, the most versatile rods for Minnesota fishing or Midwest fishing that they have in the spinning rods from them. As far as if you want to fish a drop shot, you want to fish a wackier Senko, you want to skip a dock with a something or whatever, it's Ned rig with a rod. It can do all that stuff. It's a good rod for all that.
Yeah. You know, one thing, we're caught up on chat. Yeah. And I asked Pete to give us some data.
Yeah.
Which I almost totally forgot.
Yeah.
So Pete did some digging, some data analytics, and he's going to share, I don't know, 5 or 6 or 7 baits or things that were sneaky good sellers for Omnia last year. So
yeah, some of them to you guys might not be that big of a surprise, but what I meant by surprise to me and to us at Omnia was how big of a surprise they were. These are not top sellers for their category, but they are ones that we had to reorder. We turned our inventory like 9 times, which is like industry leading. A little deceiving because of the supply chain this year, and we all understand sometimes we didn't have that much or something like that. But these are things that we had to order dozens of times. Like we just couldn't buy enough of them. And it surprised me because you wouldn't think of them as being a class leader nationally. And we are, by the way, now selling more product out of Minnesota than we do in Minnesota by a long shot, right? So
nice.
Our biggest states are like Texas, California, Illinois, big high populous states around the country. So a little bit more interesting when you look at these, what I'm going to show you. But one of the best turned plastics of the entire year was the Hog Farmer Spunk shad there, the Spunk Pintail shad, which some of you who are hardcore anglers are well aware of this thing. You guys all know what it is. If you've, see these guys on Facebook all the time and things like that. Hog Farmer's known for their A-rig. This was designed to be fished on like a scrounger head. It looks like a Kitech with the tail cut off. It's got a little bit more of a shad-shaped body than it gives it justice in the camera here or on the images on our website. It's not as round as the Kitech is. It's more shad-shaped. And the pintail does have some little bumps and ridges on it. I'm trying to get it up in the camera there a little bit better. This thing is absolutely nuts on a chatterbait. It makes the chatterbait hunt like wild. I heard like 10 buddies tell me this last year, and I swear I didn't listen to them. Then it kind of was like out there in the general public that it was a good one, and I was like, I'll try it, and it actually does work really well as a chatterbait trailer. It works on a swim jig, even anything like that. It's just a cool, unique bait. If you're used to throwing boot tails for everything, try some of these. Just mix your game up a little bit. I think you'll be impressed. Next up is one that I'll bet you.
Before you get into that. So rewind. That was on, like, I did a video this spring of like the top new 5 chatterbait trailers that I wanted to fish. Yeah. And that was one of my picks.
Was it? Yeah.
And then I never hardly threw it because I'm so in love with it. I'm so addicted to the Arsenal Tactical Minnow, and it's not just because I work with Arsenal like that.
Yeah,
I think it is a boot tail, which I am not a fan in general of fishing the boot tails on a bladed jig. But the Arsenal Tactical Minnow has such a flimsy little boot tail that I feel like it actually fishes a lot like the spunk shad, to be honest.
Still makes it hunt. Still lets a chatterbait hunt instead of tracking. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So
next up is not a big surprise, I think, to any of you, but it's in a different platform. What I'm saying is if any of you are not super confident in your Texas rigging game, the D-bomb, pretty standard stuff, right? D-bombs, missile baits, D-bomb. Everybody's probably tried them that's watching this, but the bulk bags we sell, we could buy them in just bulk bags. You could stop buying the regular bags. We sell these things in bulk like absolutely crazy. Like we actually have a harder time keeping the bulk bags in stock than anything else. So what I'm pointing out there is it's a testament to this bait. So if you're someone who doesn't have a lot of confidence in a Texas rig and flipping or cutting them down as a jig trailer, well, there you go. See, we didn't even talk about this, guys. If you have no confidence in your Texas rigging game, which I believe it or not, I hear that a lot in our chats and customer stuff we get, that they say like, hey, what bait should I try to Texas rig with, or Carolina rig, or whatever. Obviously, if these basically, you have a good bait when they can actually mass produce it in bulk bags and people buy them. It's like Senkos, craw tubes, D-bombs, things that you can buy in bulk are good baits that you should have confidence in.
Especially the super bug.
Yeah, that's the best.
I always have a bulk bag of D-bomb super bugs.
Yeah. Hey, Rich, can you guess what color of D-bomb bulk bags were out of stock when I left? And I said, I'm going to show this to everybody. Do we have stock?
Superbug.
Superbug. That's the one out of stock, guys. That is the.
So for those that aren't familiar with Superbug, it's literally green pumpkin on one side and black and blue on the other. So it's literally the two most popular colors for bass fishing in a laminate. And Reaction Innovations calls it Tramp Stamp, and Big Bites Baits calls it 1099. But like, if you're unsure what you should be throwing, this is a hard plastic to beat.
Yeah, it is. It is absolutely correct.
And it's not just D-bombs, but craw tubes and sweet beavers and all of that stuff.
Yeah, that's very true. How would you rig the D-bomb? Yeah,
is a straight up Texas rig, like a light Texas rig or a flipping Texas rig. I like a ringed EWG or a straight shank, depending on what I'm doing. Usually a bobber stop in front of that, but it also is a pretty good jig trailer, especially if once you wear them out. You tear out the nose, Texas rigging them, you cut a 1/2 inch off, thread it on a jig. It's also a pretty good jig trailer. Some people like them vertically on the back of a chatterbait. Actually can be pretty sneaky if you cut them down a little bit. It's a pretty good chatterbait trailer. I like to rig it more vertically. So it's a pretty versatile bait, but
it gets.
I don't know if there's many. Some people Carolina rig them, but mainly a Texas rig and a jig trailer.
Yeah. For sure. All right, ready for the next one?
Yep. Oh, look at this. Right. There's shots fired. Bold statement.
Thanks, man. We got a little ways to go, but I appreciate it. We're coming. Give us another building so we can get some stuff in there. All right. Next up is the Wazo swimmer, or the Uzi. No one knows how to say it. Yep, no one knows how to say it. I think Ben from the Hookup calls it the Wazo, which is like the Japanese way to say it. But so this is a $12.99 swim jig. So when I started at Omnia, the only person I ever had seen before I worked at Omnia actually buy these things and throw them a whole bunch were a couple of my buddies who fish the Bassmaster Elite Series. Guess who those are? I'm not saying who, because they're $12.99 for a swim jig, which is absolutely insane. I'd never thrown them. I actually started throwing them a little bit this year. This is one of the sneaky best little baits on planet Earth. And the only reason why I tried it was because we have turned these things dozens of times. This is one of the best-selling baits we have, especially at such a ridiculous price. So somebody somewhere is catching them like crazy on these things. As you see, it's an underspin. I got to get the skirt out of the way there so you can see. There's a blade there. It's an underspin swim jig. Beautiful Megabass style. Probably the greatest feature on it, which has nothing to do with the blade, is this keeper on here is actually fluorocarbon keepers just jaunting out everywhere. So if you run salty plastics like the Spark Shad, it'll actually keep it up in the front of the hook. If you fish offshore in vegetation and you want to reel a bait back to yourself and keep it down in the water column, this is a freaking stellar bait to do that with. I know it's stupid expensive. So are 110s, so are lots of other baits. If you don't care about them being so stupid expensive, this is one of the best baits I've ever had myself to throw offshore and deep structure and get it to actually run in the depth you want all the way back to yourself confidently a bunch. So I don't know what it is about it, the head shape, the blade flies off if you throw it at the bank a whole bunch. So don't use it like a normal swim jig. Use it as an offshore structure jig. But killer jig. And shocker that it's probably the best-selling swim jig we sell in the entire store. And it's $12.99 a jig. So enjoy that, Pike.
So Owaze is what people are saying in the chat. Owaze.
Yeah.
Yes. I haven't fished it myself.
Yeah.
I hear a lot of people do well on them. The one downside is people complain about the spinner breaks. The arm stops a little easier.
I will tell you, I learned because the first few times I fished them, I used them like a swim jig, right? underhanding them, sidearming them, firing them up, hit along some lay downs and stuff like that. That blade this is not a $12.99 swim jig like a Super K like you throw or anything like that. That is not what it's for. It's for offshore structure fishing in depth. That's where it shines. And then the blade, I'll be honest with you, I've gone an entire day without throwing the blade off doing that. But your lob casts and far casts, fishing it offshore and stuff like that. So,
but if they're really chewing, they're probably going to chew the blade off. So,
oh, absolutely. If you
be mentally prepared, you're going to get bit. You're probably also going to be a little bit ticked off when that blade disappears.
Yeah. Maybe that's why we sell them like crazy. I have no idea, but it was a surprise to me. It's in SKU count numbers. It's one of the best selling jigs we have, period. Next up is one that really blew my mind. Jacob gave me this one and I was like, what? And then he showed me the numbers. It's insane. It's JJ's Magic, the dip and die stuff. I'd never even used this stuff because I've only heard of Spike It until I worked it on. Like, I don't know if we even sold this. We may have sold it at Cabela's and probably sold the hell out of it. But we sell like this 10-1 to any other dyes or scents or anything like that is JJ's Magic. So I don't know if it's a SEO thing on Google or what it would be, but apparently this stuff is like the secret sauce for a lot of people. So if you're into dyes and you've never tried this stuff, it's by far and away the best selling dip or dye or scent that we sell at Omnia. Like, it's pretty wild.
Yeah. I've used it in the past. It's really, it does dye very strong. Yeah. It's got a very strong scent. If you spill it, it's really bright on your carpet. I will also say they tend to leak. So if you're new to dyes, you're going to want to keep that in another bag because it seems like if you get any kind of salt from your baits when you're dipping them on the seal of the ring, like the cap doesn't tighten right. And then it like seeps out. And so just, I've gone to markers, like the Spike It markers.
I haven't used a dip in forever
of that mess. Let's see if Tim Maynard's on his if he's around to do some moderating. We're officially we're doing well.
You're a big
spam bots. The spam bots have showed up. So so it's good stuff. It's potent. It reeks. If it seeps, your whole tackle bag is going to smell like lasagna. But just that was one of those ones that was a surprise to me. Next up as a surprise as terminal tackle goes. I'm not surprised we sold a lot, but I just couldn't believe the numbers and how many people bought them. But it's Owner Flashy Swimmers. I mean, I own them. I bought a couple packs when we got them the first time, and I know people, a lot of my friends use them, but I had no idea the volume to which we had turned them and how many people bought them. If you're not familiar with them, it's like a swim bait hook with a screw lock in the front and a weighted belly, but it's got the blade on the bottom. This particular model is the ADOT in 3/8 of an ounce. This is the size you buy for the Megabass Freestyle Mag Draft. Mm-hmm. So if you're into the Mag Drafts, the Freestyle ones, this is the size you want for them. This particular size, we sold like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these packages of these things. So clearly this is one of the hottest terminal pieces on the market. So if you're into soft swim baits and you want to rig them Texapose so they're weedless, check out the Owner Flashy Swimmers. They're also really, like, I think the 10-aught is the perfect fit for the Dream Smasher.
Dream Smasher, yeah, there you go.
Now, no Dream Smashers at Omnia because they can't even make enough of them to sell on their own site. But this is kind of a cult following on these bad boys. But
they absolutely do. I freaked out Jacob one day because we couldn't get him, as you know. You can't get him in volume enough for a retailer like us to carry him. So I had about 3 3700s full of them, 2 deep in every stack, and I gave them all to Jacob. So if you want Dream Smashers, hit up Jacob Bros.
Next
up is another one that you guys have seen on Facebook and everybody's glory photos from Instagram and Facebook and everything. But once again, another surprise for me, because I was trying to go through categories and surprise products where they showed up. There was a shocker of the volume we sold in, and that's that touch screen Rapala scale where it shows you 8 fish and you can cull with it and everything. We've we sold pallets of these things this year. So I've used one for years in the boat, so it never seemed like it was anything special to me, just because I'm used to using one. A lot of my friends make fun of you if you don't show them a picture of the fish weight on this thing.
Like,
you know,
yeah, like
yeah.
So I will. It's. I think the best one. I mean, there are some other high end ones that are pretty good, but those are like $80 to $100, right? I think for that $40 price point, this is the best one out there.
Yeah,
it's a little big. They do make a smaller one, but for people that have boats, seem to really prefer that one. If you're a bank or a kayak angler, I think you would prefer that. There's one that's about this size.
Exactly.
But it's a great scale. It's pretty accurate. It's a little conservative against tournament scales, which is what you want. Most people will say that, like, hey, if I weigh them on my Rapala scale, I'll gain an ounce or two per fish at the tournament scales. They're pretty consistent from scale to scale. I would say the only knock on that thing is the cull balls and tags it comes with are junk. Go ahead and just throw those in the garbage.
I'm going to back you up on that one, because we don't use those ones. Now you say it, but I will say, I've probably been using that scale. I don't know. I don't know if I've been using it 5 years, 3 years, 8 years. I couldn't honestly tell you how long I've been using it, but I've only been through a couple, maybe 3. Which is saying a lot, because I can kind of remember before that I'd had to get a new scale like twice a year if I cared about a scale. It's really nice to be able to touch screen scale. It's pretty easy to use. The shocker to it was how many of them we sold. Like, it's crazy because for the amount of accounts we've had in a small period of time, I mean, Omnia was really been around for 3 years, 2 years of being really legitimately in retail, like where we were actually selling product to people. Right. So our consumer base is relatively small right out of the gate, and you got to grow it. And the fact that like that many people bought these things from us, it feels like almost like a third of every bass angler in the country has one of these things. So I guess if you're looking for a scale, if you want to know what one sells the most, it's by far and away that one.
Yeah. And I know, like, I feel like every other month or maybe every month that question comes up in the Minnesota Bass Heads group, and 10 to 1, the response will be that scale.
Yeah. And there's a love-hate relationship with it, like anything else. People hate that scale. I got a buddy, one of my best friends, will not touch that thing, hates it. I've had a million problems with them, but I've used that thing a while now. It's been good.
Yeah, maybe there's some bad ones out there, but if you get a good one, it'll last you 5 years at least.
For sure. Yeah.
And I mean, I catch fish from time to time. I use my cull scale. Like, it gets a workout. Like,
yeah.
Not like I just keep it in the boat and don't weigh fish. Like, mine gets used.
For sure. I
mean, that Fighter's Dirty 30 was on that scale. Like, that's like the standard in the.
Yep. Oh, that's what it's just as important for glory shots as it is for tournaments.
Yeah. Luke requests the fast etch clips from Mustad. So hopefully,
what are the fast etch clips?
They're like those little they're like little twist clips.
The crankbait clips?
Huh?
Like crankbait clips?
Yeah, they're kind of a version of a snap type thing.
From Mustad.
They got a wire twist in them. Hopefully Jacob's paying attention, taking notes.
I'm not familiar with those.
Brian wants to ask about Nico baits. I don't know if you've ever heard of them.
No,
I think they're on the East Coast. They're kind of niche. They're kind of like high-end soft plastics. I think they have some kind of like combination of like gulp and Elastec properties.
Okay. No, that's a new one to me. Please send me the info on it.
Tim says
the
he's
Brecknick,
once.
yeah, those are expensive though.
Yeah. All right.
Won a lot of local club derbies on a flashy swimmer.
Sean says he's a fan. Chris has got that scale. Are the scales waterproof? I think they're water resistant, but I don't think they're waterproof.
I mean, I've got them, wet from fish splashing around and all that stuff, and used them in the rain a few times. I wouldn't call them waterproof by any stretch.
I wouldn't drop them in the live well or the lake.
No, I wouldn't either. But I've got them to work even when the screen's wet. So,
all right, Jacob's still here taking notes. That a boy, Jacob.
Yeah.
Oh, career crankbait covers, those little wraps I use. My mom made them for me. Yeah, so she got some like thick PVC plastic like material, and then she just glued and sewed on Velcro strips on them. So, but otherwise there's some decent ones out in the market, but it's you go through them like they fly off. Like you just, some people like those like really rigid like bait sacks with a clip.
Yeah,
I don't know. They seem a little too clunky for me. I don't know.
Me too. Me too.
Dadbot Angler. I just love Dadbot Angler's name.
That's a good name. Right there with you, Dad Bob.
Mini Max Chatterbait. Is that in? Working on it?
I don't know. It's not in. Big Blades showed up, but not the mini one. We did just get a whole bunch of chatterbaits though.
What are your thoughts on the X-Brides?
X-Brides seem to be a rare universal love out there. We actually, funny you say it. We were talking about that today. We actually had a guy, believe it or not, and maybe this is you, man, call in and ask one of our CSRs if what we thought about between a Miller and an X-Bride. I think the X-Brides are some of the most impressive moving bait rods. Kind of the opposite of what Rich's opinion was, where you don't spend a bunch of money on a moving bait rod because it kind of has the same action as a bunch of $120 rods, but they feel really light and crisp and alive. They feel, if you want to spend the money on a really expensive moving bait rod, I think the X-Brides are probably some of the nicest expensive moving bait rods I've ever picked up. Here's the caveat to that. You guys keep picking rods that I've never fished with. I feel like I fished with like 90% of the rods on the planet, but I'm not going to lie. I've only thrown, like, I think I've been in Josh Douglas's boat a couple times and thrown them, like picking up his rod to throw a bait at something, you know what I mean? But, but just from picking them up in the store, and I can honestly, I think I have a pretty good opinion just because of all the customers we talk to. I think the X-Brides would be known as the premium moving bait rods in the Shimano G Loomis universe.
Nice.
I don't think as a jig rod that they're any more special than a poison, that they're as special as a Poison Adrena or and as a G Loomis or any of the high-end Dobyns or Mega Bass rods or anything like that. That's where I don't think they're that special, but I think for chatterbaits, spinnerbaits, crankbaits, top waters, all that kind of stuff, that they're special.
Cool. Yeah, I think fishing in the rain is fine with that scale, but if it was a downpour, I probably would back in the compartment.
Wait till you got them all in the box. Well, I can confirm the flatworms are starting to show up everywhere. We got more today. So.
Yeah, I think the story behind the bargain bin is, my understanding is that there's a lot of stuff that you guys ordered early in the year that came in huge lots late in the year. So you just kind of trim some inventory, and like that. There's a lot of good stuff in the bargain bin. OG Slims, Fighting Frogs, a bunch of Straight King jigs. Like there's a lot of good stuff in the bargain bin. So
to give you guys a little tip on, I mean, just some raw truth on that one, a lot of that's a space issue for us. It's not so much even we don't have like room to put everything in a box, but our bins and our location system for inventory tracking and picking. To Rich's point, stuff we'd order it from 5 different places because we couldn't get enough or couldn't get it fast enough, and then it all show up at once, and we had to fill it up in too many bins, and it was like, all right, we got to move some of this stuff. Is Omnia going to keep expanding on Sims? Yes, we have a very good relationship with Sims, and yes, we are getting all the new Sims stuff and a lot more Sims in stock. Yes.
Matt Allen from Tactical Bassin has caused the 610 X-Bride to become an extinct rod, he says.
It's a sweet rod. They are nice rods for the money.
I'm hoping to make some Dobyns rods extinct this off season.
I hope you do too, bud.
Here's a good question. Have you heard anything? One of the DT8s are going to land?
It's changed like 2-3 times, so I can't.
It's getting sooner and sooner.
Answer. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. No, it's changed a couple of times. I don't know if they're going to be a late winter edition. I'm guessing it's going to be January, February timeframe before they're around.
Yep, Invisex bulk spools. There's a few of those in the bargain bins.
You might want to keep an eye out for those.
Yeah. I almost left one in the Ranger. I bought a bulk spool of 20-pound Invisex. I almost left it in the boat I brought back, but I grabbed it. Cool. We're caught up in chat again. Woo! What else do we want to talk about? I guess I'd be remiss. Like, I'm not gonna pretend like. But hey, I mean, condolences to the Martins family. Obviously, that was a big loss to the fishing community. I mean, I saw him, maybe said hi to him a couple tournaments here and there, but I can't say that I really knew him. But obviously, that was not a good deal. I don't know if you ever got to meet him or saw him when you're out and about. And
it's I have a very similar story to what you've heard from a lot of people about Aaron. I don't think Aaron would have, if you would have walked up to Aaron and said, "Do you know Pete from Omnia?" I don't think Aaron would have remembered who I was. But if Aaron saw me, he talked to me like we were like old best friends. That same story you've heard from a lot of people. Mm-hmm. I had dinner with him at a couple Sims. I actually ate with him at a Sims dinner once. And actually, I know this is going to sound like a knock to all you MLF fans out there, but I had to work the Red Crest that time. It was in La Crosse. And I know none of you were there because no one was there. I was by myself in a field underneath a tent. And the best part of that entire week that's my Aaron Martin story, was when the anglers would come back finally, they had the stage. They used to do where they make them get on stage and talk to nobody. There was no crowd there. The anglers would just get off the stage, and Aaron Martins would come over and walk over and talk to me for like an hour and a half every day. It was the best part of the whole thing. And we literally argued in a nice way about rods and reels and guides and gear ratios and handles and all that stuff. So that's my Aaron Martin story. Other than that, I don't have his phone number. I wasn't that close with him, but I will always say he is one of my heroes when it comes to the fishing industry. He definitely taught me a lot about fishing.
I just remembered something that we talked about to put on the agenda. We were going to give away some Omnia swag.
Yes, we are.
So for those that stuck around, Rich finally remembered that we were going to give away, I think, a hoodie and
a hat of your choice. You get to pick them out. We got a whole bunch of hats, some new hats on the site, and 2 new sweatshirts. So you can pick any sweatshirt and any hat you want. Obviously, your size too, and I'll ship it to you. Rich picks the winner and lets me know their name and that.
Yeah. So kudos for those that waited around, and I finally remembered. While we're doing that, remember the Black Friday sale is live at Omnia through tomorrow night. So early 20, the code's at the top. You can totally use it on the new Dobyns rods and a lot of other things. A few exceptions, but not many. So here is the giveaway. I'm going to start collecting comments. All you have to do is type hashtag Omnia into the chat. to get entered. We'll let that run for a few minutes. Anybody that wants to get them some sweet Omnia swag. Luke asks, perfect 5XD rod. I will be honest with you. I don't think enough to tell you what the perfect 5XD rod, and I would be lying, and I'm not going to tell you information that I don't know.
How about the new Strike King 5XD rod? I just been fishing with that lately. I have the prototype. It's actually pretty cool.
I would say the rod I have that I would throw on is the Dobyns 765 CB, but I don't throw, DT10s 5XDs enough to say that I know the perfect rod.
I've been throwing that 5XD rod. It's actually pretty freaking sweet, believe it or not. Any rod snob who wants to make fun of me for it, wait till you actually throw it. It's actually pretty decent. I would say wait till that thing comes out if you want a rod for a 5XD. Otherwise, you make me think on that one. It's probably I hate to say it, but that 7.4 medium heavy moderate BLX rod I've been throwing. Bougie rod.
Nice. So any plans to get long sleeve hooded sun shirts in
we interviewed a handful of companies about doing them. Everything was like either too expensive right now, like where you guys would be buying like $60, $20 sun shirts from us, or we weren't going to get them till like the summertime. So no plans as of right now, but I promise you it's coming. It's just going to be a matter of supply chains getting back to normal and pricing getting correct. So we can't, we don't want to sell our own personal merch for more than sim stuff costs when it's like not even that fancy.
Got to catch up on the chat. The chat went crazy when I put up the hashtag thing, and now it's all bogged down.
Good.
Tom says, I see. Thanks. Oh.
No problem. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. Critical Gravy starting his own hashtag.
Gravy. There you go. Champion 765 CB.
Well, Tim, who cranks more than I do, says he likes that rod. So maybe I do know what I like. Some people like the Cadence 7. I do have the Cadence 735 CB. I've thrown a DT10 on a little bit. I actually like my 765 a little better for that, but a lot of that's personal preference for cranking too. That's the wrong. No.
Tatula Elite Ailer medium heavy, huh? That's that Thomas Hines there that you said there. That rod is exactly like the same blank as the rod I was talking about with the BLX. You're correct. That rod, Fighter got me into throwing those rods. He throws that old cork handled Tatula 7.4 medium heavy, and I'm not even kidding you. He throws 25 different moving baits with that rod, and it's just one of those ones where he's confident that his hook set, his action with the rod, and landing fish with it. It's the kind of the way that exact blank you're talking about is what I'm throwing to.
Cool. I assume Kelly's asking for more blade baits, like more silver buddies, more vaults, more that kind of stuff.
I'm going to tell you right now, last 2 years, I think I'm the blade bait whisperer. It's like I suck all year, and then I'm just like a badass fisherman when it comes to a blade bait, which is really embarrassing. But we got lots of blade baits that'll be landing here in the next 2 weeks, I believe Jacob told me. So, but we have Megabass, Damiki, all sorts of blade baits.
Nice. Cool. So did you say you are good at blade baits or not good at blade baits?
I am. I'm not. It's not that I'm that good at it. It's just the last couple falls I've had really good falls on a blade bait. Like it's my confidence cold water bait by a long shot.
Well, slide into my DMs. Let's take that saber out.
Yeah, there you go. Saber is currently, Aaron McGraw's got it as we speak, wrapping it in blue tape. It's going away. So,
oh well, we can take the classic out.
There you go.
If you got a good blade bait bite.
There you go.
Yeah, spam bots are going crazy. I have not fished the 6-9 jerkbait Caden rod. I've heard good things. I think maybe Brian in the chat, Brian K has one. I like my 7-foot, so I haven't tried the 6-9. So what's your favorite blade bait, since you're a blade bait whisperer?
I'll be completely honest. I've been trying a whole bunch of different ones, like bought a bunch of crazy ones and stuff. I don't think I've found one that's even second place to that Demiki Vault yet. The Demiki Vault's by far the best that I've fished. Yep, there you go.
So, all right, last call. We got 34 people. Also, hashtag Omni if anybody wants to get in last minute. So about half the people that are here got in the drawing. So we'll just give it maybe another minute. I guess a couple other things. So, the Black Friday sale still going. We talked about that. Next couple weeks. Next week, I'm having Maddie Wong, the national champ, on. That's going to be a cool stream next week. The week after, Brian, if you're still here, let's do that giveaway that week. So I kind of think November and December, I want to do a couple giveaway. 'Tis the season, for giveaways. So I think we're gonna for sure blow out some cool stuff.
We'll jump in on that for sure.
And then I think the other thing I do is if any of my members win, then I'm gonna throw in a bonus $20 Omnia card if a channel member wins the drawings. So I think
I'll match it. I'll match it.
There you go. So that's what's coming up. And then after that, Maddie Wong, we're going to giveaway, and then Josh Douglas for the first week in December, talking about his Elite Series berth.
Do that wish list thing too, guys. Fill out a wish list and send it to your loved ones, your mom, somebody, and share it. And you can win a $200 gift card. We're trying to get that tech all dialed in. So do us a favor and go try that out for us.
There you go. That simple way, cost you nothing. Yeah. Sign up, create a wish list. You share it with your mom or your brother or your cousin. Yeah. You maybe get something you actually want for Christmas instead of some socks or underwear. And then you're helping out Omnia, who clearly is interested in helping out the fishing community. So win, 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 win. Fishing with Gramps is giving away a Team Blues custom when he hits 15K. So nice. That's cool on his channel. Yeah, a little bit late. I was concerned that oh man, I'm kind of tired. Maybe it'll be a 1 hour. We'll wrap it up and get to bed. And we just get talking about tackle and I get all jacked up. And here we are.
For sure.
We're gonna do some other types of giveaways too. We'll probably have a couple different options so that there's more chances. Yeah, you just gotta go. I can show it one more time. Daniel, Daniel's gonna send his wish list to me. So there you go.
All right.
Let's do the drawing quick first before so we're up to 40. I think everybody's had a chance. We're gonna hit that draw button. Let's see everybody's name. Flashing. Oh, it always goes super slow. John Welsh. Congratulations, John. He's a long-time supporter, so that's awesome.
Good.
So, John, I think you know how to get a hold of me. Send me an email or a message on Facebook or Instagram. We'll pass you on to Pete. He'll get you set up, and you can let him know your size, your color, and all that kind of stuff. So, as far as the wish list, right? So, you need to make sure you're signed in.
Yep.
And then you go to and I think if you're not signed in, you only see add to cart. You don't see add to wish list, right?
Yeah, you don't have wish list.
So you got to make sure you have created a profile, create a username with an email, and then you should be able to add to wish list.
Yep.
So that's the key.
There's
you haven't made an
on
account
the
or you're not signed in, you can't do a wish list.
On the home screen, as you scroll down in one of those big boxes there's a wish list thing with Sobe on it. They'll explain it to you how it all works there.
This where is it?
It should be there. No. I'll get it up there tomorrow for you. How about that?
It was up there. It wasn't an email.
It was. That. Yeah. I'm not sure.
If you want to see a sweet video of Pete talking about Dobbins, you can watch this one.
Mm-hmm. Bunch of stuff.
All right, let's catch up on a few comments before we wrap things up.
Yep.
Lose. Thomas wants to know, is Lose coming aboard?
Very well. That we'll have a very extensive lose and strike or lose rods, reels, and striking. We'll have. I'm pretty confident the biggest assortment in the north.
Dad bod. I'm not sure. If I had to grab a rod, I'd probably go with like because I wouldn't do it enough to have a dedicated rod. I think I'd throw a mag spoon like a Dobyns 734. Depends how mag we're talking about. If it was really mag, then I'd probably throw it on my 765 crankbait rod. But
yeah, I haven't picked up a rod yet that I would throw a mag spoon on yet from Dobyns, but I've only picked up a dozen or so of the rods. So.
Yeah, congratulations, John. Lots of congratulations. Yeah, Bassman spinnerbaits are cool, and actually we'll talk about this all next week in a whole bunch more detail. But almost every fish I weighed was on this 1/2 ounce compact Bassman spinnerbait chartreuse white with a little 3.5 inch tactical minnow. These little turtleback, just it got bit down in the bayou.
You should have told me that. I would have surprises for you. I'll have to talk to Glenn and Sue at Bassman. No, they're awesome people. I can't wait to tell them that.
Yeah, and I put that on big game mono that I bought just for fishing down there.
Are you serious? No way. God, weird coincidences this week. We've just been talking about big game a bunch at the shop.
Who's this guy?
Oh. That guy sold all his rods out already. We're done with you, Sobe.
Yeah. I was going to make a post like telling people that Sobe's there. But one of these days, Sobe, you're going to have to make her a fiance instead of a girlfriend, but we'll just leave it at that.
Hey, Sobe, by the way, that 7.2 heavy you got's a sleeper. That thing's light as hell. You gotta talk about that thing more. We got to get you on a little live stream or something.
Boogerman buzzbaits. Those are good buzzbaits. I know they kind of brought those. I just don't know how widely available. They probably don't have.
And there's like 8 guys who say they've got the original mold, and I've got the Boogerman, and I got the Boogerman. We've dealt with a few of the garage guys. It's tough with those things.
Yeah, I can tell you that I've got some original Boogermans hanging on my garage wall. And
do you?
Every time Sam Sobe stops by, he wants me to give him some of those buzzbaits.
So you got to be honest with me. You fish that kind of stuff a lot. Are they legit? Are they the best?
It's a good buzzbait. It's super loud. Like when you need that head banging buzzbait, it's loud. It bangs.
I have the knockoffs. I have a few guys that gave me them saying this is the original Boogerman. I just can't call it. You know what I mean? But I haven't noticed a major difference.
I thought Boogerman restarted though. Like I think they actually have.
Yeah, the guy is doing it again. That's what I heard too.
Yep, there you go. The wish list is at the top. So I think if you want a specific color, what you have to do, right, is so if you go and how you do that is to get the right color, you just need to pick the color here and the size up here. And then you can say, I want 4.8 in electric shad. Then you can add that to your wish list.
Yeah.
If you want a specific color in your wish list and size.
Very good.
Otherwise, if you just click on it, it's going to give you the first one to your wish list.
Yeah.
I feel like Sean's not talking about buzzbaits anymore.
No, I don't either.
Black Label. You getting any balsa in there?
Not on the immediate horizon. We actually have an exercise for handmade and like fancy crankbaits, but it's not for till after Q1. We're doing swimmers before that. A lot of swim bait stuff.
Like little regional
Big stuff. We're doing those. There's a couple other things we're adding before those families of that stuff before we get to expensive plugs.
All right. The Blade Bait Whisperer gets a question.
For silver and brands. Talk to me about your favorite blade baits for smallies. I've been throwing gold in like that river or tannic and any sort of color in the water at all. Silver if I'm on any like the clear lakes and there's not a lot of clouds and things like that. But I do like a little color in the blade too, other than just silver or gold. Like obviously gold and black, but Demiki's got some cool colors with some black, blue and silvers, and yeah, there you go.
Sam, why don't you now that you've shot a deer, why don't we go out and throw some blade baits?
And that I honestly, I've caught them on the Mullix blade baits, really good. We don't carry them at Omnia yet, but we just ordered them. But I learned that from a buddy. I started throwing his; they're good. Jacob was really lazy the other night and he wouldn't tie braid loops for me. And I don't know how to do it. Cause Dougie used to tie braid loops for me back in the day. And then Jacob's tied them for me the last 2 years. And then he apparently had homework or something like that the other night and he wouldn't tie my blade. Yeah. He wouldn't tie my braid loops. So I actually fished without braid loops the other day and I did pretty good. I lost a couple. I might have landed with braid loops. But kind of even shook my whole, you have to have those on there because I lost so many fish on a blade that I went to a really soft rod and straight fluorocarbon, that Demiki vault blade in 3/8 and 1/2 ounce. If you got any sort of wind whatsoever or current, I think you get bigger bites on the 1/2. But yeah, golden dirty water. What's that?
Bait caster or spinning rod or what?
Spinning rod for sure. I lost way too many on bait. Pat Renwick was trying to tell me he blade bait fishes all the time and he uses a glass rod with Berkeley big game and braid loops and he can land them on a blade. I've been with some really good fishermen that are really worried about landing every fish they catch. And I think the spinning rod's pretty key to that game. It's tough to get them in the boat. If you get it mean ones or current or rocks, sticks, anything around, a blade bait's just a fish losing that bait. If I was fishing a tournament with a blade bait, I'd be freaking I'd be a mental wreck. That's for sure.
Nice. And you said straight fluoro?
I did it this time. I've always run braid to a leader, and I'll tell you this: halfway through the day, I either broke off or I had went at some. I forget what reason it was, but I picked up my buddy's rod with braid and a leader on it, and you could feel that blade move a lot better subtly off the bottom. And I've always fished with braid and a leader, but I hadn't noticed as much since I was using straight fluoro, and I caught them just as good. I don't think it helps you catch any fish, any of that crap. I'd go right back to that braid to a leader again, just because you could keep that subtle, because all you're trying to do is feel that thing shake. The minute you feel it shake, you're moving it too much. You let it go. And then the minute you feel it shake again, you let it go. And that was super key with that braid to a fluoro leader. You could feel it way better.
Nice. Cool. Man, we went 2 hours and 15 minutes. So I think we caught up on most people's questions. Ballin 21. I'm going to have a super deep dive on the Natty next week when we have Maddie Wong on. So we'll go super deep into the boat and the rods and the reels and the prep and all that stuff. So tune in next week. I'll put links down in the description below to all the stuff that Pete talked about and all the baits we talked about. If you came in late, make sure you check out the early 20 sale at Omnia through tomorrow night. Thanks. And if you want to click the link in my description down below when you get there, I won't be mad. But otherwise, catch the replay. There's the podcast version. Appreciate Pete coming on. Fill out the wish list. Check out the site. There's tons of good stuff. Thanks to everybody that came on. Congrats to John for winning. Man, we covered a lot of ground tonight, and it was fun. I appreciate it. We'll have to do this more often, Pete.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me. I really do. And thanks for all the support for Omnia. We really do appreciate it, Rich.
Awesome. Yeah, it's good. I'm gonna definitely stop up there and fondle a bunch of those XTC rods and a few other models I haven't. So
we talked about it today. It'd be nice to have you in just to even give us a little rundown with them all, with us all there, so we can see, kind of get a little speed course from you on them.
Yeah, absolutely. Love to. All right. As always, if you guys didn't get your questions answered about rods or anything like that, or you're looking to do some last minute shopping, you guys can contact the guys at Omnia through their chat. You can reach out to me on Instagram or Facebook, or leave a comment and I'll get back to you. And great stream, guys, everybody. Thanks, Pete. Thanks everybody that showed up. The chat was crazy tonight. So a lot of people. I don't know. That's awesome. As always, here to help you guys catch more big bass and suck less.
See you, everybody.